A 35-year-old man still living with his parents shows no signs of ever leaving. So, his parents hired a professional to trick him into falling for her and finally moving out. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb Leger.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
Welcome to a new episode of Beyond the Bad. Today, we'll be talking about the romantic comedy film Failure to Launch. Released at a time when these films were quite plentiful at the theater, before the streamers kind of became the new home for them. But you could put these out and they were fucking surefire box office successes all the time. Also, before he became the Oscar winning, right? Oscar winning Matthew McConaughey. This was a weird period of time after things like Dazed and Confused and a couple of Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation when he was trying to prove himself, and obviously his more recent bout of stuff that he's shown his acting range a bit more. But this weird period, if you guys, for those who don't remember, when all he did was romantic comedies and go to the beach and shirtless to play bongos and smoke a lot of weed. He was the leading man for romantic comedies at this time. So with that, this film will do pretty much just as well as to be expected. If you're thinking a bomb, you're wrong. It was a major box office success, like a lot of these films. But like a lot of these films, not a big hit with critics. That I will shoot over to Connor for the scores.
Yeah, I've been pretty vocal on I think all the shows now, at least, that I despise rom-coms. They're the most shallow, meaningless, uncreative genre of film that exists. You can tell what's going to happen the second the movie starts. It's just, how are we going to get there? Failure to Launch is no exception. 23% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 52% audience score. So even the people who see these are like, this isn't one of the good ones. Consensus reads, the few comic gags sprinkled throughout the movie fail to spice up this formulaic rom-com. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. Look, I like many who have parents and siblings, I've seen my fair share growing up. I've seen things like The Proposal and stuff like that. And yeah, some are obviously better than others, but I'm with you. Like this is like a subgenre I've just never cared for. And mostly to me, especially as I've gotten older and been actually like in the dating game as opposed to watching this when you're a teenager because you're like, oh, this is what my mom picked for movie night. Woo, something like that. You kind of realize these give you horrendous advice on the dating game and what women should expect out of men and vice versa. What men should expect out of women. Like these films are horrendous if you try to follow them.
Oh, dude. I mean, they're all built on a foundation of mistrust and mutual hatred almost every time. It always starts out with like, you're an idiot. Well, you're a slut or something. And then they like learn about each other. And then all of a sudden it's like, love that can move mountains. It's so ridiculous. This is not how people, it's not a good template for, realistic relationships. And I know it's a movie. I know it's, it's a comedy, it's fiction. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. But like you said, there are people who see this as like, when will my Prince Charming show up? Maybe it's the guy I can't stand at work. Maybe it's him because, he kind of looks like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying like take advice from movies, but like if we're going into this whole thing that we've been getting into more recent years, we're like calling out movies from years ago, right, and problematic elements in films now. Call out rom coms because, dude, the dating advice they're giving these films, like, holy shit. I'm watching like half of them going like in real life, these two would not get together because they would absolutely despise each other. Like, what the fuck?
One thing I have noticed in a lot of rom-coms, if you switch the genders of the major character, the main characters, it's a nightmare. It turns into a horror film. Like take The Proposal, for instance. If you've got a male boss blackmailing his female secretary into marrying him so he can stay in the country, do you know the outcry that film would have had?
Oh, major. It doesn't matter if it's Ryan Reynolds or not,
Yeah. And it's take this movie, failure to launch. A woman living at home with her parents because of a tragedy that she has yet to really get over, and they hire some dude to fake a relationship to get her out of their house. Again, people would be like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
It's weird. And I think, if we're gonna call out, horror movies and like violent movies for influencing people's behavior, why don't we call these out too?
Yeah. Because I have some things I love to point out about this film that I'm like, this film was a horrendous example of what guys who are living at home with their parents. And again, at a time when the economy was much better. So keep that in mind. Obviously, some people are like, well, nowadays, I understand nowadays, a whole different story. But
You got to do what you got to do at this
yeah,
point.
yeah. But at this time, this was before the 2008 recession. Like the economy was booming. It was prime real estate back then. So yeah, like I was just watching this going like, God, this is I hope no dude thinks this is like the life, because fuck that. Um, but also what's crazy with these rom-coms, right, is that they are so insanely popular that you will see actors, for example, one off the top of my head, Gerard Butler, that for a while was trying to have it both ways. Like he would do his action films like 300, Law Abiding Citizen, films of that nature, and then do like The Ugly Truth. Like he was trying to be like, well, because and I'm sure he thought like, well, the rom coms are surefire bets, they're surefire wins, so I can do my more interesting like movies that I tend to like from the guy when he does like Law Abiding Citizen, 300, all that stuff. As opposed to when he did The Ugly Truth, I'm just like, why, dude? But I get it. For him, it's probably like, oh, this is a surefire bet. At the time, he was a leading man material, so it was like, why not?
Yeah, it's a good way to sell tickets and also you know pair two big names and see what happens. But they're all the same fucking story. It's always the same shit. And I'm talking mostly about rom-coms post 2000 here, because like you get the occasional Sleepless in Seattle or When Harry Met Sally or The Princess Bride that are genuinely good movies.
Mhm.
But after 2000, the How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days era, it was all kind of that bullshit for quite a while.
Yeah, a long time. And I mean, like I said, some people think, well, it went away. You don't see them in theaters as much. Like, no, they disappeared from theaters, kind of. I mean, technically, if you want to get with semantics, that recent The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and
Yeah,
Daniel Radcliffe.
there was that. There was Ticket to Paradise with Clooney and Julia Roberts that I think made a profit because these always do.
Yeah, so I'm like, they're still coming out. Maybe not as plentiful in the box, but they're still coming out. The Joe Coy film that I think Easter is what it was called, Easter, whatever.
Easter Sunday. Yeah, I remember that
Easter
movie.
Sunday. Like they're still coming out, but they're also in the age of the streamer. They've been finding a home there, and they will pop those out because they get huge numbers on Netflix and Hulu and stuff.
Oh yeah, they're always, especially around Christmas. Oh my God, does this shit multiply like a fucking mogwai at
Yeah,
Christmas?
I mean, for example, there was one that came out this past Christmas that has, for many people, reignited their love for Lindsay Lohan now. Like it was a huge hit for her because she signed a Netflix deal to, as she's trying to get her career back on track, and apparently it was a huge hit. And now because of it, she is now going to be a successful, thriving star again, doing Netflix fucking rom coms.
Yeah, I tried to put that one on our like potentials list because I'm like, oh, this probably didn't do well, but no, it was like a 60 something percent. It was like it squeaked by.
Yeah, so it's just insane. It's like this is a of all the people come at me on horror films, and I'm like, and like don't get me wrong, like if you were to put in front of me right now, like, hey, you have to watch a romantic drama or romantic comedy, I'll take the comedy because as much as I don't like it, at least they're trying to be funny. Whereas the dramas I just find insufferable beyond like a shadow of any doubt. Like, god damn, are they fucking soul sucking? Um,
That's because
but
usually in the drama, one of them's dead at the end of the movie.
Yeah, and as we learn on Endless Love, whatever it was, like they're even worse when they come to like what a healthy relationship they think should be.
To be fair, I don't think Endless Love should be your ambassador for the romantic drama because that's not a good example.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll use the Notebook instead, which is also just a great showing of what love should be.
Touche.
I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it. On that note, before we get too like negative here, I am curious. We have touched on how these being big successes at the box office. Obviously big hits on the streamers. So with that, and this being our first and definitely not last romantic comedy on this show, why do you think, on that note, do you think these tend to be just surefire bets for the studios, both at the box office and now, with the streamers? Like, why do you think these are always just huge hits?
Well, I think the same reason horror movies are because they indulge a certain fantasy and let you live in a world that is wild and crazy and completely devoid of actual human interaction. But this is a different mindset than, genre films. This is like, a world where love like, conquers all, where people get in ridiculous situations for the sake of ending up together. And, because couples need something to do on Valentine's Day. It's, yeah, that's why I think, there's a market. There's always been a market. People love stories. People love, to laugh. People love to think life could be that interesting. And it's a fantasy that they've been, marketing and selling ever since film started. It's just gotten worse. It's just getting, recycled.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's that. I think it's also like, I'll say that I do think it's a lot of times the film's atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like rom coms have a very warm, inviting atmosphere. A lot of times they either take place on the East Coast or the West Coast. There's a lot of times on the East Coast, more so than the West, and a lot of the ones that I've been subjected to watch. But they always have like a very lighthearted thing that is an instant enough way to get into the film and watch it. Um, and then the other big thing is like you mentioned with the couples, right? Obviously, it's a win-win because I'm sure most guys have a belief when it comes to romantic drama versus comedy. Like, no, I'll take the romantic comedy before I sit through a fucking drama on date night. You know what I mean? Um, so
I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
most guys.
For me, it depends on the movie. Like, there's a lot of romantic dramas I do love. There's very few romantic comedies I love. Like,
Okay,
I'd sit through the drama first.
well, all right. On that note, I guess I'm a cynic. But don't. Yeah. But uh, I think going back to like the couple thing, right? And obviously you said the two big stars. Think about it. Couples can go and watch. The guy can ogle fucking Sandra Bullock, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kate Hudson, Mila Kunis, if it was, I think, because she did Friends with Benefits. Like, insert any, especially at the time, the it girl. Not saying any of these actors have faded away into like the sunset. Like, they're still all viable stars for the career, but obviously at like the peak of their career, probably when they would do these films. But the guys can have that, and then the girls can have someone like McConaughey, Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling, if you want to go the trauma route with the Notebook. You know what I mean? Like they get their eye candy.
Well, Gosling does have Crazy Stupid Love, which it
And
counts in the comedy section.
he does, and it has Emma Stone in it for the guy. So it's like I think that it plays a lot too. Is it's the atmosphere along with like, hey, like let's just be honest, like the eye candy. You got the stars. Especially if it's a guy who doesn't like this, like myself. It's me just sitting there going, well, at least I got. If it's like, oh, like Hitch, like, oh, well, at least I got Eva Mendes. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
got that much.
Never ugly people, is it? It's never some, homely looking dude with a beer gut and like one ear who, romances his boss. It's never that, is it?
No, and when they do that, it's always like the most attractive woman out there, and I'm supposed to believe that that actually happens. And life has told me no.
Yeah. And if they ever want to do the ugly duckling thing, all they ever do is give her like glasses.
Yeah,
And
which
that's supposed to mean that she's ugly. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. I've
Yeah,
never once watched me be like, oh my gosh, she has glasses. She's horrendous. Like, no. What?
yeah. I feel like rom-coms treat their audience like idiots more than any other genre.
Oh,
And
they absolutely
yeah,
do.
I can't stand that shit. Like I'm aware of what's happening right now. Stop trying to act like I don't know what you're doing here. It's stupid.
Yeah. Oh, and then like I said, to me, like if I know I've been kind of leaning to like the things they teach, but like the ideal of the type of relationships they show, like if looking, especially now that we're kind of behind like what I would call the theater heyday of rom-coms in this 2000s period. You look back on these now, and these relationships are toxic. Like that's another big thing for me is like they are absolutely just displaying the most toxic relationships. Like in this one, for example, right? This Sarah Jessica Parker is hired to fake fall in love with this guy who is a 35-year-old man still living at his parents' house for a reason that they really stretch to explain, if you ask me. Um, and somehow they fall in love and like for real fall in love and become. I'm like, no, that's kind of toxic and a horrendous way to build your relationship right there.
She faked a dog dying to elicit sympathy. That
Yeah,
is some cruel shit. You
she
could you
only
could rename most of these movies I Give It a Year and keep the same plot.
yeah, she at one point only has sex with them because she doesn't have sex with her clients. She makes that known because it's revealed he's about to dump her. So she's like, nah, and apparently gives him the best sex of his life. And dude, if you're 35 and that's an easy way to keep you in a relationship, you got to work on your fucking self control, bro.
And also at that point, isn't she just a prostitute now? I mean,
Legally, yes.
she's being paid for sex here. Like that's bad lesson.
Yeah, it's like yeah, and yeah, ladies don't use again. Then he goes into the whole thing. Ladies, don't use your bodies as a way to keep a man in a relationship if it's not working.
Yeah. And also, don't take money from parents who want to use you to get their kid out of the house.
Yeah,
Like
and oh, fellas, if you have a good paying job, I don't care what tragedy happened in your life. If you still have that good paying job, get out of your fucking parents' house.
yeah. And also Bradley Cooper cannot talk to animals. I just want to make that very clear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I should say with the whole living with the parents thing, unless it's strenuous circumstances, there is someone I mean to a friend that is kind of like because of a house situation is living with their family temporarily until they can get back into their house. So that's a little different story, house fire type
Well,
situation. So
let me make it very clear. If you're living with your parents, I I don't want to step on that. I'm sure you have your reasons, but the people the moochers, the people who don't contribute, the people who just are 40 and have mommy doing their laundry, those are the people we're kind of going at here, and that's
yes,
kind of what
yes,
McConaughey is in this movie for the most
yeah,
part. But if you're like
that's
if you've lost things, if you are taking care of someone, if you're just having a bad time, go home. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, yeah. That's what we're going after. If you're only a mutual, like and yeah, like do a lot of stuff. We'll get into it when we get into our words, but McConaughey doesn't hear like no, that's not okay. Yeah, understand. Obviously, life happens. Like we said, for without getting too into our current climate, we're in quite a time when it comes to the housing market, so things are a little understandable nowadays.
I'm counting
Um,
down to the day where we just start killing people for water and we go full Mad Max. I think it's going to happen in our lifetime.
let's calm down. I want to die, hopefully, an old man peacefully. Um,
I want to go full warlord and just have, I want to be, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Jesus Christ. Ah, yeah. Also, this is another thing with rom coms. Now that we're talking about like tropes, have you noticed like in this film has it too? There's always the quirky friends that are played by almost consistently like rising stars.
Yeah. You know what's weird? It's weird to me how often it's Bradley Cooper. Like in that
I,
era, it was Bradley Cooper a lot.
he popped up in a lot of stuff. I was surprised because I remember one day I was watching Ready Crashers, which actually that one's funny. I really like Ready Crashers. But that goes for more vulgar humor, so it's a little more up my alley. Um, and when I saw him pop up, and I was like, "Holy shit, Bradley Cooper's in this movie!"
Isn't he the bad guy?
Yeah, he's like antagonistic towards them.
I've never actually seen Wedding Crashers. I've heard it's hilarious. I've never seen it.
Oh, it's like it's definitely like I got why when I think it was the internship or whatever the other film that Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson did together like years later. I get why the hype for that was real because that movie they were a really good pairing together. And it was really funny.
Nice. Yeah. What do you think constitutes a rom com? Like, because there's comedy movies that have a romantic subplot, but
Mm,
I wouldn't classify them as rom coms. I mean, take for instance, let me see if I can come up with one like Anchorman. You
uh-huh.
know, has a romantic subplot. Him, Will Ferrell, and Christina Applegate, but it's not a rom com. So, like, what do you
No,
think constitutes that?
I think for me, it's when the main focus is getting two people that shouldn't be attracted to each other and watching them fall in love at the end of the movie. Like when that's like the driving focus of the film is watching these two unlikely pairings to fall in love and love beat the odds.
I love it. Your reasoning is like the relationship has to be toxic, or else it's not a rom com.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
Look,
you
I'm
got a
telling
point.
I'm telling you, and look, I want to say right now, like I've seen a lot because my mom loved it. The Proposal. I've seen it so many goddamn times because she watched it all the time. Um, look, don't get me wrong, like Sandra Bullock, very attractive woman, but like, come on, that relationship ain't going to last.
No, she's a monster. She's a selfish monster who is manipulating him into, getting her a green card, and he's gonna fall in love with that. I just don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't buy it, like no. Also, I want to point this out. They, I think, have a relatively decent age gap, but no one cried a foul. But when you reverse it, you talk about the whole reverse thing. When you have the much older male actor with a much younger female actor, people cry a foul. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, give me the Proposal with Mel Gibson as the boss, and like I don't know, Mila Kunis as the female secretary, and tell me that movie's not going to be boycotted.
Yeah, and what I'm saying for anyone who comes at me, either have it both ways or none at all. You can't just sit there and pick and choose. Either it's okay on both sides of the spectrum, vice versa, if you will, or just don't do it either way. Just get people close to each other's age.
You can't have your wedding cake and eat it too.
Yeah. Hell, didn't Jack Nicholson start doing fucking rom coms towards the later stage of his career, didn't he?
Uh, how do you know was his last movie before he retired, and that was a rom com,
I about to say,
which
didn't he do? Yeah, didn't he do kind of? He didn't do like a stream, but I know he did a decent amount towards the later part of his career in the 2000s.
I will say, as good as it gets, maybe like top three greatest romantic comedies of all time because it's a good story, it's original, it's great performances. That's a good one. That's a funny movie with a romantic plot at the center of it of two unlikely characters, but the relationship is written in a way that you actually believe it.
Okay, like I said, there is possible to make a good like rom com. Like you mentioned a couple like When Harry Met Sally and things like that that had been actually considered just in general good movies. But it's what a lot of the good ones try to do is they actually try to give you characters that are believable. They actually do go all the way to try to make you believe that yes, this is a relationship that could potentially happen. Um, whereas I think
Well, I think all the good ones aren't built on a fucking cookie cutter template. They're organic stories that are just good stories first, and you add the romance in later. You build it on a foundation of care. But a lot of these 2000s rom-coms that just are the same shit, different wrapper, are all just a formulaic recycled plot that you can kind of see coming a mile away.
yeah, I mean it's to the point that when like the sad pop punk song started playing in this movie, I was like, oh yeah, of course we have to have that. It's like every time.
Yeah. Oh, the breakup before the reconciliation. Ah, here we go.
Here we
Like
go. Cute,
you
yeah,
got it.
cute.
You got to hit the beats.
Yep. cue the Fallout Boy, cue fucking a slower Blink 182 song. Like, here we go.
Yeah. I've never had my friends be that involved in my love life ever. Like if you all of a sudden like showed up and like, manipulated like me and the girl I'm super into and like trapped us somewhere and like live streamed a fucking like conversation, that'd be insane. I would probably never talk to you again.
Yeah, I'd have questions. Like, yeah, and that's the thing is like, and look, I'm not saying like we have, if it's not weird to set up your friends. Like, yeah, people do it, but they do it in a normal way where it's like, hey, you should check. It's usually you introduce them like, hey, there's this person I want you to meet. I think you two would hit it off. It's usually how it goes, and then from there, it is what it is, right? So that's normal. That's how you do it normally. Hell, I remember being in high school with a girl I liked, and the most they did to get us finally like together because we were always like we hit it off and we're like flirting kind of openly in class and stuff was they invited both of us. Well, I was already invited because I was friends with one of the guys. It was a friend that we used to be mutual friends with.
Yeah, I know
And
exactly who you're talking about. Go on.
yeah. So I was already going to his house for a get together he was having, but then they at most my boys went like, hey, they even told me like, hey, bring some scary movies. We're going to invite her. Okay, cool. That was the most they did. She said yes. I put on the scary movies I had. I think like brought Insidious. They conveniently left a spot open for her to sit right next to me, and that's literally the most they did.
Was I there? Was that time we watched Insidious?
It may have been.
And somebody like was at the door and scared the shit out of us.
Yeah, I think so.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah. So I was like, that's just an example. Like, it's not like I'm not saying it's like abnormal to set a friend up in your friend group, especially if you are you have a single friend. But yeah, the way they go about it in like romantic comedies, I'm like, don't ever
But
go that hard. It's okay. You can calm down a bit.
but then like if you found out that she was like actually like a 35-year-old journalist who was like there investigating like the teenage life and she fell in love with you, then it's like crazy. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, that's crazy. It stayed normal because it was two teenagers that were into each other and they're respected friends. But how do we get this to work?
That
Doing
concept, by the way, of like a woman like masquerading as a teenager to investigate the teenage life for a magazine and then falling in love with the teacher is an actual concept for the movie Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore.
Oh yeah, that's
But,
right.
yeah, they actually pulled that shit. The teacher's like, I'm in love with a student, and they hit the whole like, she's not really a student, so it's okay. Like, that's not the lesson here.
Yeah, like I said, no, mine was luckily just an innocent, normal thing where my bros were being good bros, basically. Um, yeah, dude, that one, and I just saw one that's also insane. Oh, okay, the one that everyone loves, Clueless. I understand their steps, but holy shit, movie, you couldn't have just like done anything to not have her fall in love with her stepbrother, like just anything other than
Oh shit. I never
yeah,
seen Clueless, so I didn't know that.
yeah, Paul Rudd, who she falls like in love with, that's her like stepbrother.
Oh boy,
And
that's
she's still in high school and he's not.
this is an awkward one.
Yeah, and people are like, it's not that. I'm like, it's kind of awkward. Like, say what you want about all y'all's Pornhub searches, but I know they're actors. And at least Pornhub doesn't even try to go out of its way. They're just upfront about what you're watching. Like, look, this is what you're watching. So either hit play or move on to the next video. We got like hundreds of these.
I do love the unspoken like you clicked me, so don't like this is on you vibe of all that shit.
Yeah, like no, this is on us. You click this. Um, no, it was Clueless. Like Clueless just goes out of its way towards the. I remember it's funny. So that's like, again another one my mom liked, and she was watching and laughing. And when we got to the end, I was like, "Wait a minute!" And I looked at her and I'm like, "Did she fall in love with her stepbrother?" And she's like, "Yeah, but they're just steps, and it's explained that they don't really even have that much of a close connect." I'm like, "It's still like siblings that she grew up with, and she's in high school, and he's not." I'm like, "You can't justify this. This is weird."
Yeah, TV does that a lot too. Like they did it in The Flash. They tried to do it in Dexter. The whole like, we raised together, but we're not really blood, so it's okay thing. It's like that's a line I don't want to get close to.
Yeah, yeah. And look, I'm as someone who has been watching The Flash, I'll be watching this final season coming out next month. Um, don't get me wrong, like the lady, the actress that plays Iris, very, very attractive lady, but like I remember when they did that, yeah, I was like, I've always loved you since your dad took me in and raised me as a son, and you've essentially been like a sister to me. I'm like, a little weird. I don't know why we needed to go down that route.
The most psychologically fucked up rom-com I've ever seen is actually from the 50s. It's a movie called Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Uh, I saw it as prep for an early Oscar Sunday episode, and it has one of the most twisted fucking concepts I've ever seen, but it is played entirely for humor the whole time. Basically, this mountain man comes down from his like mountain cabin where he lives with his seven brothers and basically says, I want a wife. And the townsfolk are like, well, how about that one? There's this girl like milking cows in the back, and he walks up to her and is like, you're my wife now. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, we're married now. Like, you're gonna come up to my house, you're gonna live with me now. And she's like, well, you're hot, so okay. And she gets up to the house, and he's basically kidnapped her to be a slave and cook and maid for the whole damn family of brothers. And all the brothers are like, this is cool. I want one. So they basically go and kidnap a bunch of women and keep them up at the cabin when the snow's in, and they all kind of like Stockholm syndrome themselves into love. And it's a musical, and it's like played like this is hilarious, but I'm like, this is disgusting. This is twisted. This is fucked up. And I was horrified the whole time. I'm like, how is this a comedy? This is a psychological thriller at least, like horror at best.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Um,
But I
that
guess when it looks like Howard Keel, everything's okay.
that's I feel like how they get away with all this. They just get really attractive people that make you go, oh, okay.
Yeah. If these people were ugly, a lot of these films would be like fucking hate crimes.
I like how we've established if you get ugly people and you reverse the roles, so this becomes a very different movie very quick.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of these that are, there's a movie made in the 90s called While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock and I think Bill Pullman,
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
she falls in love with a comatose guy, and then like when he wakes up she like lies to him about who she is. And I'm thinking like, you swap these genders, holy shit, this thing's winning fucking, you know the chainsaw award.
Yeah, yeah. Fango would be having a field day with that one, the Chainsaw Awards. Um, yeah, it romantic comedies, love them or hate them, they're as we've talked about, kind of been proven with the box office and the streaming numbers, they're not going away. And look, I don't want people to think like I'm heartless here. Like I I am a sucker for a good love story like anyone else. Um have plenty of, ones of shows I've watched that aren't necessarily romantic comedies, but they have a good love story at the center that I do get attached to. Um, plenty of times. But like make the characters believable, make the characters likable, make me actually interested in that aspect of your story, so I can actually get invested in being like, yes, I want to see them get together.
I see romantic comedies, at least post 2000s romantic comedies, as kind of like the herpes of the film industry. Like, you'll think it's gone, you'll think you took care of it, and then it'll flare up again, and you'll be reminded how much you hate it and how much you've not missed it. And that kind of happens every 5 years. So yeah, I think yeah.
Oh, okay. On that note, I think that's as good as any to move. God damn it, the herpes of film. A good note as any to move on to development hell. There's not a lot this week, considering, I know we had to create the beefy one last week, but like most romantic comedies, there's not a lot on this film. Mostly casting considerations. So with that, let's do it. Let's talk about the roles that we're gonna the mostly females, mostly ladies that were considered, because apparently once they picked McConaughey, they were locked in. Because like I said, at this time, McConaughey was a romantic comedy go-to.
I'd watched this in 2006, and you told me that in what 9 years, 7 years, he was going to win an Oscar for an AIDS drama. I would have told you to get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I remember being a kid. Like, I had one of my mom's friends talked about how high he was. I'm like, the guy's on all the fucking romantic comedies. Like, I had
Yeah,
aunts that thought he was so hot. I'm like, what are you guys seeing him? And like, I remember watching like Dazed and Confused when they going, hey, I like him in this. Why doesn't he do this more? And then watching Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation going like, this movie's stupid, but like, he's really good in this. Why isn't he doing more things like this?
for me, I think it was the first thing I saw McConaughey, and I think it was like where I took him seriously. I think it was Interstellar, because at the time I'm like, I hadn't seen Dallas Buyers Club yet. At the time, I was like, really? He beat DiCaprio at the Oscars? That's weird. And then he was gonna be in Nolan's new movie, and I'm like, what? Space Cowboy? Okay. And then I watched Interstellar, and I was like, holy shit, he's good.
Yeah, yeah. I saw Dallas Buyers Club before because I had heard the hype and was like, McConaughey giving a good performance, and he doesn't say all right, all right, all right. I was like,
I kept waiting
okay.
for that in this movie. I was kind of bummed I didn't get it.
I know. I'm like, come on. If you can sneak it into the next in TCM for Christ's sakes, McConaughey, come on. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I watched it, and I was like, finally, I was like, please do this instead of romantic comedies because holy shit, are you good, McConaughey?
Yeah, he's a talent. I just, I guess he had a niche where he didn't have to try that hard. He got paid, and he got exposure. So it worked out for him. It's not like it tanked his career. These are all massive hits.
Yeah, and he got to play, got to be shirtless on the beach because that was all that was ever in the news was McConaughey shirtless on the beach running, McConaughey shirtless on the beach playing bongos high off his ass. It's like, okay, I remember that's I think why I had never had like a huge like great liking of him until Dallas Buyers Club. I'm like, all I know this guy is he does romantic comedies and he likes being shirtless on the beach. Who is this actor? Why is he still getting work?
I remember as a kid being kind of pissed I couldn't spell his name. It took me forever to master McConaughey.
It's such a. I still have to sometimes look it up because I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. But hey, you know what? He's doing good stuff now. I love it. Um, I wish he'd kind of do more bad guy roles because I haven't seen it yet. But Killer Joe, where he plays like an assassin or a hitman, I should say, not assassin, a hitman. I've heard he's really good and it's a very like dark role he plays.
My all-time favorite role of his is The Gentleman. Mickey Pearson, the weed king of London. Oh my
Yeah,
god, is that such a great movie?
yeah, he was good in that.
Yeah, I look forward to him now. Like he's one of my favorite actors working today. And whenever he's in a movie, I'm like, I pay attention. I'm like, oh, what's this? Never thought that would happen.
No, no, yeah, I'm with you. You told me during this period, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure, yeah, I'm really gonna look forward to a movie with the guy who's done How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or insert any other dumb shit. It's funny because when I type this one into IMDb and I scroll down to the trivia section and try to get some stuff, all the movies how they recommend other films like it
Yeah.
was all his romantic comedy stuff, nothing else.
I wish it said like, if you like this, then there's probably something wrong with it. Like instead of recommending stuff, it's like if you like this, change your standards. Jesus.
He's, I got a big kick out. I was like, wait a minute, Kanye's in that one. That's romantic comedy. I was like, that's the one he did with I think Jennifer Garner. There's the one he did with Kate. I'm like, did they literally just recommend like all his romantic comedies just because I clicked on "Fall Here to Launch"?
Didn't he do The Wedding Planner with J Lo?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, he did.
See, these were all videotapes lying around my house as I grew up because my mom was really into rom coms. So I've seen these covers a lot.
Yeah, I like how basically they were like, "Hey, we have this hot young female star. Put him in a movie with McConaughey, romantic comedy gold, good to go."
I'm just picturing that guy on Seinfeld, the guy who kept Owen like Jerry owed him a soup, and he was like, that's gold, Jerry, gold. I keep picturing these people being like McConaughey and a hot young thing. It's gold. It's gold every time.
Oh God. So yeah, with that, it's gonna be mostly female casting decisions. Because they didn't quite end up on Miss good old Sarah Jessica Parker. I'm surprised they took so long to get to her because this was I think like your height of our post Sex in the City. So it's not like she exactly wasn't like waning. Like she was quite the well known figure at this point.
I think it was post because the movie came out in '08, I think.
Okay, it may have been post like when she was probably talks about the movie. Because I know now she has the sequel series that she is doing on HBO Max. But on that note, this film, amazing, believe it or not, was originally written with the roles meant for Amanda Peet and Zach Braff of all people.
Weren't they together?
I think so. The most I know about Zach Braff is he wrote and directed Garden State, was in Scrubs, and that's all I know. And apparently him and Florence Pugh were together for like the longest time. Even though they have like a huge age gap. They're not together anymore, apparently.
Yeah, I heard he got like jealous of how famous she was getting.
I mean, she's no offense to Zach Braff, she's more talented than him. I've never I don't hate the guy, but I wasn't the biggest Scrubs fan. I haven't seen Garden State. Like I just don't. He does not interest me in seeing something. I'll put it that way.
I just keep hearing the random stories of him like having outbursts or being difficult and stuff, and I'm like, ah, boy. But Amanda Peet, what happened to her?
I don't know because I usually she's one of those like I remember like I see her pop up stuff. I'm like, oh, I like her. Like I never had anything against her. I liked her, but she just like fucking disappeared.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah, I'm sure she's probably on like a TV show or something. Like I'm sure she probably does like a good amount of TV work that I'm just not watching. I don't mean that as a slight. I enjoy quite a bit of TV shows. Probably just I doubt it's anything that's been on my radar, or else I would have been like, hey, there she is.
She was in 2012. She was on that. All right, she was on Dirty John. You're right. She's doing a bunch of TV you didn't see.
Yeah, it's probably shit on like CBS, ABC, which is why I don't see it because I don't really watch the TV on there. I do mostly like streaming shows and stuff.
Yeah, she's still working. Just she's not a movie star anymore.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It's steady work. She's still getting paid, so good for her. Whereas Zach Braff, apparently hard to work with, was getting quite jealous of his much more talented, significantly younger girlfriend. I'm not saying I have anything against age gap relationships, but every so often I'm like, what do you have in common? You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about?
I'll say this though. I believe Zach Braff as a 30-something who still lives at home.
Yeah, that I can believe, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just in general glad that Florence Pugh left him. So I'm like, come on, you could probably do better. Let's just be honest with ourselves. You could do someone much better and successful in Hollywood.
Yeah, she probably is. As we speak.
It's right now while we're recording. So yeah, apparently Amanda Peet and Zach Braff at the time this show was written for. But as we know, ultimately released with Sarah Jessica Parker, Matthew McConaughey role. So like I said, I don't know what happened with Zach Braff. I'm sure it probably has something to do with his reputation or Scrubs or something. I don't quite know. But they got Matthew McConaughey and they stuck to their guns with McConaughey. What's up?
I'm saying like good call, I don't think Garden State was a huge hit.
No, it's not. Yeah, Garden State has more of a cult following, but it was not a huge hit when it came out.
Braff did not, I think he tried to parlay that Scrub success into a movie career. It didn't work out. A lot of, it rarely happens for TV actors where they can kind of transfer to film successfully. McConaughey was a safer bet. I get it.
Yeah, and especially at this time because nowadays it's a little bit. I would say it's a little bit easier in the current climate for actors to be able to switch between just because streamers have kind of I hate using the fucking word, but quote unquote they've elevated, I'm air quoting, TV standards a bit more, so it's easier to see actors kind of switch between the two. But at
Yeah.
this time, when it with the kind of stigma that cable TV shows had compared to movies,
Yeah. If you were a TV actor, you wanted to be a movie star. And if you were a movie star, you would rather die than go back to TV.
yeah, yeah, this is just how it was. Like I said, it's changed now. I mean, you see it all the time now. There's plenty of shows I watch on streamers where I'm like, hey, this guy who I saw in this movie is not on this show, and then next thing you know, I'm watching the movie and it's a guy I saw on the show recently. You know what I mean? Like, but again, the
Yeah.
streamers have kind of brought a whole new ball game to that.
I like that. I like the balance, art is art, entertainment's entertainment. I like that everything is kind of balanced now.
Yeah, exactly. And a good example, just I'm thinking of it now because the embargo lifted on the show. I've been like dying to see this show since they announced it because I love the first the two games. Um, but a recent example of that is, The Last of Us that's coming out on Sunday, the TV show adaptation, right? Pedro
Mhm.
Pascal, he's done movies. He was recently in the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. The guy has done plenty of fucking movies on his belt, but then he'll
Yeah.
turn around and he stars in The Mandalorian. He's going to be in this Last of Us, which based off the reviews I've seen since the embargo lifted, he's getting acclaim. Like it's getting way fucking some of the best reviews I have seen for a video game adaptation in my life. Like it is getting high praise. So like yeah, like it's a whole different ball game now. You see it happen all the time. These actors can be crushing it in both, no problem. Because at the end of the day, for me, like you were talking about, right? Entertainment's entertainment, art's art. If you're making something that better suits as a TV format, do that. If you're making it and it's better suited to a movie format, do that. It shouldn't be a stigma of one being lesser than the other. Which one tells your story better?
Yeah, well said. Exactly. That being said, I don't want to see a TV adaptation of Failure to Launch anytime soon.
Me neither, but I am going to be turning into The Last of Us because I really like the first two games. And boy, this actually look good. Um, so with that, let's talk then about the females since McConaughey was pretty much secure because like I said, this was his time where it was like, hey, you're doing a romantic comedy. Here is your batch of male leads. Pick one.
Yeah, that's how it was.
Yeah, if this one's busy, go down the line. So she played Paula. Here are all the names they considered. They weren't offered, but they were considered. There's all the names. There's like 5 of them, I think. Yeah, sure. So we have Maria Bello, Holly Hunter, Patricia Velasquez, Alice Braga, and Miss Thor herself, Elsa Pataki.
That is a weird bunch of ladies. Like more people from the Mummy franchise than I expected. Uh, no, you know what? I don't think any of them could have pulled this off. Sarah Jessica Parker has this like sleazy quality that works for a character like this.
It works for her because if I'm being honest, what I do know, the little I do know about Sex and Six, I have an aunt that like loved that show. Um, it's pretty much her character, Carrie Bradshaw. Like it's her character pretty much.
Huh. So in this movie, we've got Carrie Bradshaw and we've got Terry Bradshaw. That's weird.
I always forget Terry Bradshaw in this movie. And what's funny is I watch like I'll watch the occasional rerun of Modern Family, and there was an episode he guested in where he's like on jury duty, and Jay, played by I'm mind blanking, but he was in Married with Children, the patriarch of
Yeah.
Married with Children.
Ed O'Neill.
Thank you. I don't know. They're on jury duty together, and he's like gushing. He's like, "Oh my God, it's Terry Bradshaw." He insults him by saying like, "I know you had to do Failure to Launch. I wasn't a big fan of it either." And Terry Bradshaw was like, "I'm actually really proud of my work in that movie."
That's great.
Yeah, it's really funny. And then I'm watching, so I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. He is in this movie." I was like, Terry fucking Bradshaw.
Doesn't make sense. Why is there a football player playing the
Because
dad?
that's the thing with these rom-coms, man. They were always stacked with like watching them, like they would get everyone just as stacked as the main characters. Like, you Kathy Bates in this fucking movie. Like, I'm
Well,
like,
I mean, think about it. Most of these had, fairly simple productions. Script, I don't think took that long to write. there weren't a lot of exotic locales. There's no CGI, so all the budget could go towards wrangling a all-star cast.
Yeah, like I said, filming these probably isn't difficult. A lot of it's shot in location, and you're mostly just kind of doing dialogue, saying something too crazy. And like we said, the money was in the box office. Like they could do this and it wouldn't hurt their career because these were surefire hits.
Yeah, times were simpler, man. I mean, movies sucked, but we still saw them.
It's true. Yeah. So watched pre MCU days. So that's who was considered, not who they offered. I was like, so that's so for as far as who they offered, okay.
All right.
There's only like three names. Yeah. They offered to these three ladies. Brooke Shields.
Okay.
Yeah. Tori Spelling.
No. No. Boo. No.
Yep. And then admittedly, kind of like an actress who was quite known for her work of rom-coms in this area, thanks to one called Legally Blonde, Miss Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, she makes sense. I could see that.
Yeah, that's why I said like I was like, oh yeah, that's right. She did do a lot of these rounds. She was like one of the go-to female, or one of, yeah, go-to actresses to get for these movies.
Yeah, yeah. I've never seen Legally Blonde. I don't really seek these out. This show is really the first reason I've ever had to watch some of these. Uh, but I like her work in Walk the Line. So
Yeah, I have nothing against Reese Witherspoon. Like I've for all accounts, I've heard she's actually like a pretty nice person. Like I've heard nothing bad about her. She seems, I like her usually. I'm not necessarily like I don't like a lot of her movies because she doesn't really pick stuff that's up my alley to be interested in watching. But I have nothing against her, nothing against her. And she probably would have worked just fine in this movie. I doubt she would have been terrible. Um, Tori Spelling, that's a very odd choice to me because she had her show and let's just be honest, that was it.
did her dad have anything to do with producing this?
I don't think so.
Hmm. And Brooke Shields, I like Brooke Shields. I think she could have done it. And at least in this one, unlike the last movie we talked about with her in it, she would be, of age.
Of age, yes. I'm about to say that'd be the key thing. She is of age.
Ugh. Endless Love is the creepiest movie we've ever done on this show.
All right, God, before that, my image of Brooke Shields was mostly thanks to that '70s show as Bob's second wife or girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah, it was Jackie's mom that he was
Yeah.
dating.
Yeah. She played that role, and that's the most of my knowledge. I was like, oh, because obviously we watched as family parents and who she was. Then I watched that and went, oh my God.
I know that she played a lot of like weirdly mostly naked teenagers when she was a teenager. Like there was Endless Love, there was the Blue Lagoon. Like she got typecast at an early age for some creepy shit, and no one did anything about it.
No, because Hollywood, very pre Me Too movement.
Yeah, during the all of these stories that would be told, this is when they were occurring.
Yeah, God. Ugh. Well, I think I think it's safe to say the little prelude to the sex scene that happens in this film. In this case, we would have been fine with Brooke Shields because she would have been of age for said scene.
Yeah, thank God.
Hey, yeah, thank God. But as we know, it's Sarah Jessica Parker because they are turning it down. How they end up on her, I don't know. I like how she was like literally like what felt like the 10th name to come up.
She was, yeah, she was free. I bet that's how it was.
Yeah, they're probably like, everyone's telling us no, we haven't talked to any of the considered people. We need someone. And she was like, hey, I'm probably like, okay, sweet.
Yeah,
Ah,
I feel like there's not a lot of thought put into these films. It's just like who can we wrangle? Who's free? Give me 6 months. No, give me 3 months. I'll shoot this fucker.
yeah. Now, finally, the last little bit I got on this film, and this one, take with a grain of salt because it is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. But if it's super belief, this is kind of insane that this happened on this film. apparently, for those who haven't seen it, there's a scene with a chipmunk that's just fucking stupid. Apparently, they used a real chipmunk,
Ooh.
and unfortunately, it's a safe bet that that wasn't the original chipmunk they used because a set trainer accidentally dropped and then stepped on a chipmunk during filming, killing it.
Oh, wow. The trainer did that?
Yeah,
Was it his first day?
I don't
Because
know.
that's like the one thing you're not supposed to do as an animal wrangler on a film set is, kill the fucking animal.
Yeah, how do you drop it and then proceed to like step on it? Like that means you freaked out and were moving around. So I mean, like, oh shit, let me stand in place so I don't step on it.
Yeah. And of course, the director's like, all right, somebody go get me a new chipmunk. I don't think they mourned it.
No, they're like, it's a chipmunk, guys. It's who cares?
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So if that's believed, that's coming from the Hollywood Reporter. An animal was killed in the making of this movie. If you think it that's in vain or not, that's kind of on you. I think it was in vain because this was not that great of a movie.
Yeah, that chipmunk gave its life for this piece of shit. I'd be upset too.
Yeah, I hope that set trainer was attacked by chipmunks later in his life. Um, and then as for release, yeah, that's all I had. There was like nothing on this film. I was really working very hard to come up with something on this one, but it was also kind of nice after like the beefiness of our last episode. Um, as for release, it would like we talked about make a killing at the box office. Again, if you look at it, you're like, that's not that much because I think it's like two, three, something crazy like that. But again, one like we've always talked about, right? Pre MCU, and this film's budget was like 50 million. Because that was the key, like kind of like the Blumhouse model of horror films, right? Like keep it cheap and let the fucking money roll in. Um, it's usually a good thing to do. That's how there were so many Saw films for so long.
Yeah, I like to think that Jason Blum learned this lesson after witnessing the 2000s rom-com boom and thought I could apply that to horror movies.
I do
What if
this,
there's a better way?
yeah. If I do this for horror, I have this, and then once we become a huge name in the genre, we'll have two types of films: the ones you really like, and then all the other ones.
Oh, no production company's got a flawless record.
No, I just had to take that quick stab at Blumhouse. Um, yeah. So like with that said, huge killing at the box office, right? Big hit. More like we're talking about date nights aplenty with this one. Um, and as for the critics, as we mentioned, they weren't nearly as kind. A lot of them call it formulaic, even by rom com standards, which is really saying something. Like, hey, even for this subgenre we don't like, it's not that great.
Yeah, that's not that's crazy. I love that. It's like all of these suck, but you suck even harder.
There's just something about your face. Um,
Nice.
and with yeah, thank you. And with that, that is development hell. That's all I got on this one. So unless you have more to add, we can go ahead and move on to our awards.
Let's do it.
Sweet. All right. First up, the Zack Snyder first scene. What did you pick in this movie?
There is no reason whatsoever that we had to look at Terry Bradshaw's big white ass. There's no reason at all this needs to be in this movie multiple times. So yeah, the naked room that Trip, forgot his name, Trip, god damn it, is just now discovering. It's like, ugh, that was so unnecessary and gross, and I didn't need to see it. I would never hug my father if he walked up to me butt ass naked. No, I love my dad, but not a chance in hell. Put something on, Christ. I would also not stay there just talking to him while he's butt ass naked.
Yeah, I love how like nonchalant they are about the whole thing. Like, oh, it's the naked room, huh?
Unbelievable. So yeah, I didn't need that. I don't want it. And now I know what Terry Bradshaw's sagging ass looks like. So thank you so much, production.
Yeah, it. I mean, you can tell like Terry Bradshaw is like really game for the scene. Like he is like, yeah, I'll show my ass on camera. That's fine. I don't care. Yeah,
Oh,
this is a ridiculous scene. And what I love is like when he goes downstairs after that and he tells his mom, she's like, yeah, he tried doing it downstairs. I'm like, wait, what?
this is a weird family.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean you haven't been able to be naked in your own house, man? Like, just it's your house, be naked.
Yeah, don't delegate it to one room. And also, when there's other people around, just Jesus, put on a robe or something.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, no, that's a good one. That is a moment you're not ready for. Have you noticed in like these rom-coms with scenes like this, they are always like they're always PG-13, but you almost feel like they want them to be rated R so bad.
I feel like in Bradshaw's contract, it was like full frontal required. And they had to be like, Terry, it's a PG-13 movie. And he's like, oh, it's fine. I'll show my ass. And they're like, we're not talking you out of this, are we? And he's like, yeah, no, absolutely not.
No, I demand that I am naked for at least one scene in this movie.
Yeah, it's yeah. I couldn't. I had some other stuff written down, and then that happened, and I'm like, oh, you're out of your fucking mind.
God. I did not know that was going to scar you the way it did. Luckily, I did not have that one written down. I had a different one written down, and only because it made me angry, and the phone tries to play it for laughs. And that's the essentially the opening credit sequence that kind of depicts Tripp's daily like morning routine.
Mm.
That I guess he has every morning while still living with his parents as a grown man. The reason I hate this is because we watch this guy roll out of bed with a fucking like chips fall on the ground. He just throws his clothes wherever, hops in the shower, and then you watch his mom come in while he's in the shower and fold his bed, fold his sheets, make his bed, put nice clothes on the bed for him, clean up after him. Like, man, look, I don't care what the fuck. This is like what we were talking about earlier, with being a mutual. Like, I don't care what the fuck you got going on. You're 35 years old. Don't make your fucking mom pick up after you, dude. Like, that's disgusting. Take care of yourself, you piece of shit.
I love that within 5 minutes you hated this guy. It was
Oh
just
yeah,
like, yeah, this is a bastard.
yeah. I immediately was like, fuck this guy.
Yeah,
And
I get it. That's not a way to endear you to the audience, to just show how little fucks you give about your parents' space.
yeah, and then like watching him like drink the milk out of the carton, I'm like, dude, like,
That's always a sign to show like a douchebag in a movie. They'll just drink like directly out of the carton.
yeah, it's like, no, I never, no, you're not cool for doing that. Your other people are going to want that, so don't
I,
drink out of the carton.
I live alone and I don't do that.
Yeah, it's not hard to get a glass.
No, it's not. It's fucking yeah. Ah, good pick.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I went with it. Yeah, yeah. I guess a classic meme moment of just being angry within like the opening minutes of just like, okay, I'm gonna hate this guy. And I did hate this guy. Um, with that, our next one, the Ed Wood. Worst line.
Finally, this the name of this award has meaning to me now. Um, so this is during the dying dog scene, which is just fucking despicable.
I almost
Um,
had this one run down for my
yeah, it's like
scene.
who does that? Who manipulates somebody like that? Uh, Paula asks, "What's his real name anyway?" And the vet just nonchalantly goes, "I don't know. I just clean their teeth and chop their balls off." And the dog whimpers, and I'm like, "You're not a real veterinarian.
Yeah,
No vet would say that. Holy shit!
no.
No doctor would be that cavalier about that shit. Like, oh my god!" And no vet would either would like fake a dying dog for a friend.
Yeah, like, and look, I'm not like, okay, before everyone goes like, oh, it's comedy, like, just laugh. I'm like, don't get me wrong, like, I watched, I laugh at the scary movie series. I laugh at playing real for all movies. Those present themselves in a very broad, out there ward anyway that does not exist in reality to begin with. these are McConaughey films. They place themselves in reality and then have these outrageous fucking moments like this happen, where it's like it's not funny because you're taking place in the real world. Like you're no, like you said, no vet's going to be okay with this. I have two of my own pets that I take to the fucking vet. I'm going to tell you right now, when I take my dogs to the vet, they ask, "Hey, what's your dog's name?" And I tell them Duke, and they can pull that shit up on the computer, like, "Oh yeah, he's due for this. We'll
Yeah.
schedule him for this day." And even when the assistant, because my vet currently is still like curbside, they're still playing it safe.
Mhm.
Even when the assistant comes out, it's all right. Is Duke ready for his point? Like they're calling him by his name already. They're not just like, "Oh, I don't know."
Yeah, I found this dog out back. Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be horrible if I took my cat Seymour to the vet, and they took him in the back, and then they're like, "Hey, he's dead." Nah, just messing with you. He's right here.
oh yeah. Oh,
Oh,
dude. I remember one time I accidentally scared the assistant with my dog by mistake. Because uh my dog he gets very anxious when I take him to the vet. He gets very anxiety riddled. So one time I took him, like I said, it's curbside. So when they went to open my back door to grab Duke, he moved to the back of to the other side of the car. When he did that, I quickly was like, "Oh wait!" Like before they open it, and this lady jumped back so quick because I think I realized, oh shit, I made it sound like my dog's going to attack her. I was like, oh no, sorry. He gets nervous. You might just have a hard time getting him out. That's all. And then, she calmed down. I was like, oh, I did not mean to scare you like that.
yeah, I've seen your dog. That I get it. Yeah, you hear a no wait at that dog, you're thinking I'm about to die.
Yeah, he's a very nice dog, but you don't want to see his bad side when he does tap into it. But yeah, like yeah, the scene where they're just like, we're going to have Sarah Jessica Parker just pick a random ass dog and act like it's dying. First off, like if they've been dating long enough, you haven't seen a dog around her place, or have had if he has been to her place, she hasn't talked about her dog before. You're just going to blindly believe that the same day her dog is dying is when you're first hearing about this dog.
Yeah, then she never talks about it again. It's completely fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's an idiot.
yeah. I'm like, look, I can see right now. I talk about my dog as much as I can because I love my dog, and I
Yeah.
would not be fine the day I have to. When that day inevitably comes, I would not be fine after a day.
Tell you this: if I lost my cat tomorrow, the girl I'm super into would absolutely hear about it.
Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What
So
do you got?
good pick. Mine actually again goes with my whole fucking beef with this movie about placing it with a 35-year-old that still lives with his parents, and in this case could live on his own. But that's like when after they hire her and she's and so Jessica Parker's telling them like the things they need to do to start getting him like wanting to move out back out on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And he's with his buddies in his room playing fucking Madden, whatever. I think it's like probably '06 where the fuck was out. Um, and his mom comes in and is like, "Oh hey, so your laundry?" He's like, "Oh yeah," thinking she's gonna do is like, "Oh yeah, the pile's waiting for you to get done if you need this." And she's finally laying it down like, "No, you need to do all this stuff if you're going to still live here." And they just look at her and she leaves. And what comes out of Bradley Cooper's mouth infuriated me. And that's something's wrong with your mom. No, dude, you're a grown ass man. Do your own fucking laundry, you piece of shit. There's nothing wrong with your mom. He should not be taking care of you.
I feel like if you ever accidentally like meet Matthew McConaughey, you're gonna like you're gonna be pissed at him for this movie.
A little bit.
Why don't you pick up your clothes, asshole?
You leave chips on the ground, and as a 35-year-old man, who does that? You piece of shit. It's how you get ants. Go fuck yourself, McConaughey.
That's how you get ass. Oh, that's good. Yeah, good pick. That was a weird moment. And also it never goes anywhere. She doesn't like nothing like that never has any like ramifications on the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it never goes anywhere, and it's clearly a scene like meant to make you laugh. But I just did the biggest eye roll and just like seething hatred immediately. Like, no, there's something wrong with your fucking mom. It's like you should be taking care of yourself.
Yes. That's I guess that's the theme of the movie, You should take care of yourself and, find love when it's distrustful.
Right? Find love when someone pays to fake it for you. Fake it till you make it. Um, the next award, the next one. This one should be interesting. Oh, the Steven Seagal worst performance. Who'd you pick?
I gave this to Zoe Deschanel.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, her character is annoying, and I don't really know what the hell she's supposed to be. Her delivery is ridiculously stilted, and frankly, I just don't care for her as a person. So there you go.
I'm gonna say it was probably a hot take. I've never found her nearly as hot as everyone else makes her out to be. Never been into her like that. I know like her show New Girl that people fucking
Yeah.
loved. I didn't really care for it.
I have heard nothing but horrible stories about how she treats her castmates and fans. Like she is such a diva.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah. Her sister's the good one, the one who didn't pay Peter Parker for those pizzas.
Oh yes, the one that did Bones for years.
Everyone knows there's Bones. To me, she's the lady who didn't pay Peter for the pizzas.
I I forgot about. See, I didn't make that connection for the longest time, but again, my mom. If you guys can't tell, my mom was in very much a lot of the typical parent stuff, I should say. She got really into Bones, thanks to one of my aunts. So all I heard about was Bones this, Bones that, Emily Deschanel. And then one day I happened to be rewatching Spider-Man 2 and I was watching, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, it's the fucking Bones lady. And I was like, not only do I not like her in Bones because she plays like the most emotionally detached human being ever, I don't like her in this because she won't pay Peter Parker for the pizza.
Here's a question. I know this is completely off topic, but this has been sitting in my head since I was like 8. Why would you order pizza in New York from a place that's half an hour away? There's a pizza joint every 10 feet in New York City.
It's because they're clearly trying to game the system.
Yeah, that's right.
People,
Yeah,
I'll say people who do that are taking advantage of like because I know a lot of pizza joints, a lot of them that aren't like your big name brands like Domino's and Pizza Hut. If they don't deliver in like 30 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes or less, like your pizza's free. So that's probably why they do it. It's gaming the system so you don't have to pay for the pizza.
that is a terrible business model, and people need to rethink that shit.
Yeah,
Especially in New
actually,
York when there's pizza every 10 feet.
oh yeah, 100% pizza joints. I'm gonna say right now, get rid of it. Stop doing that shit because all it does is entice people to try to game it, so you don't get so the business doesn't get paid. The poor fucking driver that's going through hell to get the pizza over there doesn't get paid. Like I disagree. Like no, get rid of it. Make people pay for their damn food.
Anyway, who do you got?
Me, it's you're probably gonna get a laugh out of this because it's definitely I've realized a theme, and that's Matthew McConaughey. Um,
Oh, this is great. Yeah, you got a beef here.
I not only twofold. One, all my above mentioned reasons of how much I fucking despise this character and would wish the absolute worst in this human being if I ever met someone like this. Just fucking car crash something. Just give me something. Like but also, but also it's because and I talked about it earlier, this is the middle section of his career, right? The romantic comedy lead. We saw what he could do prior when he was like cutting his teeth and trying to get his name out there and things like Dazed and Confused, TCM, Next Generation, and probably a few other things I'm forgetting off the top of my head right now. There's just the two I know off the top of my head.
Real quick, Amistad and the Pelican Brief. He's a Renaissance man.
Ah, thank you. But yes, okay, so all those right, and then everything he's done since Dallas Buyers Club onward, right? We know what he's capable of. We know this good actor. So why the fuck did he slum it? I get it. The paycheck was probably good. It was an easy paycheck. You just want me to fucking be a romantic comedy lead and play roughly the same character for all these films? Cool. Easy payday. But come the fuck on, dude.
Real quick before I rebuttal, I got my Grisham wrong. A Time to Kill. That's the one McConaughey was in.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah, I get it. He's just, he's going through the motions. He's collecting a check. He's doing his, hillbilly Texas thing where he's adorable. And that's all right, all right, all right. But the character is pretty goddamn insufferable.
Oh, he's so insufferable. I hate him so goddamn much. I,
When you look like Matthew McConaughey, you can literally do whatever you want. There's a certain level of Hollywood handsome where you get away with fucking anything.
Oh yeah. I mean, Hollywood's proven that with some things that have come to light in recent years in the media that yes, you can get away with quite a bit in Hollywood.
Well, I mean in terms of character.
Oh
Like you
yeah.
can, yeah, you can play. I don't want to insinuate that McConaughey is up to no good. No, no,
No, he seems like
he seems like a good dude.
Matthew McConaughey himself. I have nothing against. I want to point this out right now. I have nothing against Matthew McConaughey himself. I've heard nothing but great things about the guy. He seems like a generally nice dude. I just don't like his character.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. So now for the next one, Michael Bay, first filmmaking decision. What did you decide on?
So I originally had basically the whole damn concept here. Uh, but then why are we bringing Star Wars into this?
Oh, the Patton Oswalt scene out of nowhere.
Yeah, like the fucking music is in this. Like, why are we doing this? And
I don't.
he's doing a fucking Yoda voice, and it's just like, do we need to have this whole scene in here? Does this do anything but just show her or show the friend that she's lying to McConaughey? Did we have to have like Patton Oswalt as the stereotypical Star Wars fan who lives in his mom's basement?
Yeah, I know you're right. At first, I was like, "Holy shit, it's Patton Oswalt." And I was like, like a lot of people, I like him. I think he's a really funny dude.
So do I.
But when I was watching, when I had, as soon as I got over that moment of like, "Hey, Patton Oswalt," and I was watching, I was like, "Oh, Patton, buddy." I was like, "Come on."
Yeah, they're like, we need a nerdy Star Wars fan, and I guess ever since he showed up, that's been Patton Oswalt.
It's been Patton Oswalt. Has he even been in like a Star Wars property yet? And I'm just mind blanking. I swear to God, I
I'm
haven't seen
sure.
any Star Wars.
I'm sure he's voiced somebody in one of the animated shows or been a droid or some shit, but I don't think he's ever. I'm gonna find out.
I know he was Modoc recently in the show on Hulu, which was actually that was a pretty funny show. I quite recommend that very robot chicken style humor. I thought it was really funny. But I know he voiced Modoc in that.
Yeah, I never saw Modoc. It looked kind of goofy, but I'm hard to please.
I know you are when it comes to TV. Um, but no, I liked it. Like I thought I thought it was pretty solid. It again like it, they dropped the ball as far as like the team up thing they were going to do. Whereas Netflix just that the defenders sucked. Let's just be honest, it wasn't very good. Um, we never even got the offenders on Hulu. They just stopped.
Yeah, I remember that they were like they had the Hellstrom thing and Runaways, and nobody was watching any of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't either because I was like, this is again spreading your shit out way too far, too much content. Um,
Well, I'm looking through. I'm not seeing anything official that
nothing.
Patton Oswalt was in regarding Star Wars.
No, okay, I'm surprised. He talks about it so much. I think he'd be in something. But
I don't know. Maybe he like is holding out for a role as a Jedi. He really wants to be a Jedi. Maybe I don't know.
I don't blame him. But yeah, no, good pick. It is like yeah, it's and it kind of goes to me back to that like very because obviously this was right before MCU was big and Star Wars came back in a big way. But it's going back to that and again when I talk about like we talk about like these films bring up really toxic relationship standards and horrendous things to look to for stuff to look to and what you want in a man or in a woman or it's just in general a significant other significant other in general, right?
Yeah.
The other thing this film does, and a lot of films of the romantic comedy subgenre like to do, is they love to rely on fucking stereotypes when it comes to nerds. Because if you notice, hey, we have our hot romantic leads are into like the guy's into macho things and the girl's into feminine things, and well, if the guy isn't into anything nerdy, it's cute and it's like one little nerdy thing that endears him to us more. And then we have a scene all the time, like for launch, like this, that just is relying on the age of tropes. Like, well, if you like Star Wars and you're a nerd that can't get laid, like,
Yeah,
all right,
it's lazy.
It's like I have been just fine in that department, and I like Star Wars, I like horror films, I like metal. So I don't know what you're trying to insinuate here, Hollywood, because you're fucking wrong, you goddamn morons.
To be fair, you also don't look like Patton Oswalt.
That is that, yeah, that's true. But also, to be fair, Patton Oswalt has been married twice now. So
Yeah, because he is a famous comedian. Regular dorky, dumpy looking nerds don't usually have the best luck.
look, don't think just because you play Dungeons and Dragons, guys, that there isn't a chance. There is. Just don't let that be your entire life.
Yeah, work on everything else. Shower, stay
Yeah.
hygienic. Maybe learn a joke or two.
Have your hobby. By all means, have your fun hobby. I'm into nerdy stuff too. So I'm not sitting there like trying to, you know, put down Dungeons and Dragons, especially this year with the fact that we're getting apparently a fucking movie, and then apparently Paramount Plus announced a whole separate TV show they're doing. So he needs about to be fucking hot here soon. Unless this movie and show bomb. But what I'm saying is enjoy your nerdy stuff, but also, obviously, don't let that just be your entire life. And yes, don't feed into the stereotypes Hollywood likes to present in these films.
True.
That's probably the best way to put it.
What do you got?
Me, again, I'm starting to realize I'm sounding like a broken record. And that is that this film starts to go extremely out of its fucking way to justify why a grown man is still living with his parents at a time when the economy was still good and he could afford to live on his own. Again, look, I understand things like, let's say your house catches on fire. You got to move in with your parents until the thing gets rebuilt. Understandable. Life happens. Things happen, right? And I get that. And obviously, in this case, what I'm saying is that, spoiler alert, it's revealed that the guy, McConaughey's character was engaged and she died. Um, Now I get the idea of like, maybe he would lean on his parents during this time of grief. But again, that's the flimsiest reason they could find why he's still living with them, why he's a piece of shit living with them as far as not being able to just take care of his own fucking room.
See, that's where that's the line for me. It's like that justifies why he's there. It does not justify why he's an asshole there.
Yes. It's like, okay, you got a reason to justify it. Again, kind of flimsy. Like you could have done probably a little bit better. Like she died and then he lost his house. You know what I mean? Like something outrageous that makes you go, oh shit, okay. But like you said, like it doesn't justify why the hell he's such an ass living there. And while like to an extent, do I understand where he's coming from in the dinner scene when he's like pissed off? Yes, to an extent, I do understand. I get it. I'd be like, you seriously, you paid? At the same time, dude, take a look in the fucking mirror and understand why they want you out.
Yeah, there's a lot of blame to go around here, but admittedly, they could have just told him to get out.
Yes, and yes, absolutely. They could have been like, "Hey, you look, man, like you need to leave. Like we get it. We were here for you, but you got to get out."
Yeah, at some point in in every parent's life, you got to turn into the Amityville ghost and just yell, "Get out!" Got to happen.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, and again, just to put in perspective, did I move back here with my parents after college? Yes, I did. I had fucking no money to my name that wasn't student loan, basically. Um, and no job. So I moved back in. But then I worked my ass off. One, I was respectful the whole time I lived with them. I didn't fucking I kept my room clean. I didn't just sit there and like fucking, get in the way while they're trying to cook. I was very respectful of the fact that I was even getting home cooked meals still, being a grown man. Um, and also I worked my ass off to try to get out. I did my film work that didn't go anymore. Then I got the job so we to start making money, and then military. Now I'm at where I'm at. So I did work. I worked to not stay in that situation. That's the difference. Like,
Yeah, you didn't accept, like, to you that was not the end of the story. Like to McConaughey, this very much like, this is where I am and this is where I'm staying.
yeah, like, well, the woman I love died, which again, very tragic. Not saying that's not a fucking tragic thing. I don't wish that on anyone that to have to like go through, losing, a loved one.
Yeah.
Um, But after all, yeah, it's like, look, man, you can't accept this as like, okay, well, I lost that and life is over. Like, you got to move on eventually. You got to learn how to take that grief, live with it. I'm not saying get rid of it, be gone with it, but live with it and move forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see what you like, the positive you took away from this, because so far this has just been a roast of McConaughey as Trip.
It really has. I didn't even think about it when I was typing this like the other day, and as we've gone, I was like, oh wow, I've really been just digging into McConaughey, his character, and his motivations.
Hmm.
Um, but with that, yeah, let's get into the silver lining then. And before I reveal mine, what is yours?
Uh, it's Rob Corddry as Jim the gun salesman. That scene is fucking hilarious. Uh,
He Hardcore is
yeah,
just a funny guy. So
he's the best. Zoe Deschanel's trying to buy a gun to kill this mockingbird, and he starts talking about the novel To Kill a Mockingbird, and she's like, "Yeah, give me a copy of that." And he's like, "It's not a manual. Like, I can't just give you a shotgun." Like, it was done so well. He's hilarious, and yeah, he had there was the one moment in this movie where I was laughing. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. He's always a good. He's kind of like to me, like him and like Rod Bigger are people that like when I see in a comedy, I'm like, okay, even if this isn't bad, they will be funny. They consistently deliver. Um, like was it the? I think it's the second Harold and Kumar. Yeah, when the Harold and Kumar escape from Guantanamo Bay. Bob
yeah,
Corddry is one of the best part. The movie's already funny, but he's one of the best fucking parts to it. As the FBI agent that's hunting them down, he is so fucking hilarious.
he is without a doubt the shining fucking star of Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh my god!
And
And actually, I quite like how Touch Machine, but he is so funny in that
it's a
movie.
great movie, but he's owning that whole damn thing.
Yeah, I always die when that one lady's about wants to have sex with him and Clark Duke, and he's like, "Oh, dude, come on, you can't be fully right. You gotta be like semi a little bit here." He's like, "Here, let me help you out." He's like, don't touch it."
Like, you don't want to be rude, but you don't want to scare her. I love when they come back from the past and he's like, I can't hear Motley Crue without thinking Motley Lou anymore, especially Home Sweet Home.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
never saw part two, but I love part one.
yeah, I haven't seen part two, but part one's great. So yeah, good one. Yeah, I'm with you there. Rob Corddry's always just a fucking. He's like I said, him like Rob Riggle, a couple other guys that like if I see in something, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be. They will at least be funny. I'm going to get a good laugh when they pop up on screen.
Damn right.
For me, it has to do with some cast members as well. It's I picked actually Justin Bartha and Bradley Cooper as his friends. Yeah, they're deadbeats, but the difference is one, I'm not having to watch them this whole movie, and they are generally pretty funny. Like Justin Bartha has oddly mastered being like the funny sidekick type character in a movie. Like he's good at it. He's quite honed in on that. And Bradley
Yeah.
Cooper, obviously between this and Rain Crashes or stuff, like you can definitely see like why he has the career he has now. Like he's funny, there's genuine talent. Like you get it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I thought they were kind of irritating, especially the out of the blue moment where Bradley Cooper's like, "Hey, I'm gonna just drop the bombshell right now with no buildup." Like, that was a weird moment.
Yeah, it was very weird. And like I said, I'm not like I look. I didn't like. I wasn't like dying laughing, but they gave me chuckles. It's the difference. Like I got at least the occasion like, ha, all right,
Yeah.
and that was pretty much about it. That it was like the occasional chuckle that they gave me, and that was it.
A chuckle in a shitty rom com is worth a hearty laugh in a good comedy.
Yes,
That's the exchange rate.
pretty much. So yeah, that's my silver lining. Because, and by the way, that's the best I could come up with for myself. I was like, I came with my like awards for all the bad like quick. And when I got to this, I was like, what the fuck am I pointing out? Because there was nothing I liked about this. There's no effect of this that I like because I just do not like the fucking rom-com subgenre or what it represents at all. Like, I
Yeah.
think I've just met my match today.
Well, I admire your courage for bringing this shit to this show finally. It took a full year for us to build the courage to go into this cesspool, but here we are.
Oh, we're in it, and I would like to say it's the only time, but we'll have to revisit it again at some point because for all the ones that people love and do have good reviews, there's plenty of fucking terrible rom-coms, especially in the 2000s period.
Yeah, hopefully we spread them out a little bit because I don't want to do these again for a while.
No, I think I'm gonna be good for a while. I'm already getting ideals for some other stuff I'd rather do on the back half of the year. Um, but with that, unless we have anything more to add to the awards, it's time to find out what's in the box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Yeah, this is pretty reviled. 2.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Not a lot of love here. A lot of people saying like, I liked it when I was a kid. I watched it recently and it's fucking stupid. It's a lot of that. Which is fun. Nostalgia, sometimes betrays us.
It does. It betrays us all at some point.
Well, I have 4 reviews here that I hope will make you laugh. This first one's from Saru. My toxic trait is wasting hours of my life watching movies I know I won't like. 2 stars. I can relate. I do it once a week.
Does this person also have a podcast where they have to watch shitty movies?
I don't know. This next one's from Leah. I feel like just kicking him out would have been simpler. 1.5 star. Yeah.
Yeah. Kick him out. The guy can apparently afford a fucking home with his job, so kick him the hell out.
I feel like this one will speak to you. This is from Zach Jones. I'm a sucker for movies where Matthew McConaughey plays Matthew McConaughey. Love that man. 3 stars. Yeah, he did that quite a lot. It took a while for him to play a character.
Yeah, like I said, the rom-com period of McConaughey was an interesting period of his career.
And this last one is hilarious. This is from Alex Harper. A lot to unpack. Matthew McConaughey is attacked by a dolphin. Bradley Cooper moans that it's not attacking him. McConaughey's dad wants to listen and watch his son have sex with his therapist because he's, quote, paying for it. Zooey Deschanel, the only good one, tries to wrestle a shotgun out of someone's hand in order to kill a mockingbird. I thought Justin Bartha was cast in Promising Young Woman based on his performance. He's not even in Promising Young Woman. That's how strong the illusion was. A lizard literally chuckles. A huge plot point involves McConaughey being kidnapped, gagged, and bound, and then live streamed. 2 stars. Yeah, they're just laying out what happens in this movie. There's no punchline. It's just holy shit.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? Most rom-coms have crazy fucking story beats like this that make you, in hindsight, when you look back on, go, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, it's insane. It's this weird genre of film that we all just kind of accept and constantly support financially, but it is full of the weirdest, most horribly written characters and plot lines and just bogus shit that exists in cinema, and I will never understand the appeal.
I don't get it. I did forget about that one. Terry Bradshaw, his Caspade's like, "Are you trying to look? I'm paying for it, damn it."
Yeah, what the fuck, Terry? Oh my God.
Dude, it's your son still. Like, I mean, yeah, okay, Sarah Jessica Parker, but like, it's your son, bro. You're not just seeing her; you're going to get a whole lot of him.
Well, if the naked gene runs in this family, I feel like he's, they've been getting an eye full of McConaughey for a while.
Oh, I began all of the McConaughey. Well,
that's all I got.
That was good. That was good. Like that. I like that last one. Just laying out the pot. It's like, oh yeah, yeah. I didn't even think about it that way, but yeah. All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap it up and get out of this fucking romantic comedy pool for a while. Before I reveal what next week's episode is, though, be sure to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under FILMGAZM Productions. If you want to shoot us a recommendation, feel free to email us at filmgasm@gmail.com. If If you'd like to donate and support us in that way, you can find us on Anchor. And then finally, feel free to go on our site, filmgazm.com, for reviews, shows, articles, and all our episodes. And also check out all our individual letterboxes. We're currently working on migrating to the letterbox format. So, that's where you should be able to check out a lot of our newer reviews.
Check out Connor95 is my profile. And from my friends list, you can get every other member of the team who's got letterboxed and check out some of their stuff. So there it is.
Yeah. On that, next week, we'll be taking a look into one of the few missteps taken by the animated film department of DC. Not the live action, because that's a lot of missteps. Animated. And that would be Batman: The Killing Joke.
What high hopes we all had.
Yeah. I have seen this one already. Like I watched it when it came out because I was like, oh shit, they're doing The Killing Joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched it and went, oh my God. And for that, actually, we'll get into it. But I remember at first going, this isn't The Killing Joke. And then when it got finally into The Killing Joke, I went, oh, this is a shitty take on The Killing Joke.
Yeah. With this voice cast and this animation and this, this should have been their crowning achievement. But why did they make those decisions? Yeah. Next week's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So on FILMGAZM, we'll be taking a look at the trilogy closer to what many consider to be one of the best trilogies of all time and a personal favorite. Connor's here. Back to the Future, Part 3.
Woo! So excited.
Oh, yeah. Should be good. And on Oscar Sunday, we'll stay into the Back to the Future realm. We all taking a look at the middle installment, Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah, I was hoping 3 should have gotten some Oscar love so we can make it a hat trick on Oscar Sunday. But you know what? It's just an excuse for me to get to talk about this, the sequels to my favorite movie. I'm very excited for this week's batch of episodes.
Yeah, especially coming off, failure to launch. It should be great.
Yeah, I feel like, getting kicked in the balls on my way out the door right now would be a step up from failure to launch.
I mean, metaphorically. Until then, even in today's tough economy, if you have the financial means, or a grown adult that has the means, and you're not trying to mooch, move out of your parents' home. Get your own place, and I promise you'll have a lot more luck with a potential not toxic romantic partner. See you next week on Beyond the Bad.